From the standpoint of emptiness or the absolute, there is no birth, there is no death. What does that mean? Well, when we come back to the reality of things being sort of contingent upon one another, right? That everything is kind of a composite of everything else, as we talked about, like a tree, right? It's kind of it's a useful way to describe what we call a tree, but an actual tree includes the ground and the sky and the rain and the clouds, and eventually you get to the earth, and the earth's not there without a cosmos, and so it goes. And so a single tree is interconnected at the deepest level with everything. A tree, a human being, your pinky, anything. Now, that may sound like philosophy, and what a lot of people take it as philosophy, but it can also be brought to the point of realization where you actually experience these things, you actually feel these things, that you feel that the whole cosmos is your true body. That doesn't mean you don't have a human body. You have a human body with all of its limitations and everything that it means to have a human body, but it's not all you have. In the domain, in the deep experience of emptiness, you are not a body. You don't experience yourself to be a body in true emptiness or in the absolute. And everything being a sort of a composite of everything else, this dependent origination, when a tree grows up. And of course, a tree, let's say an oak tree, where I used to live just a few months ago, had oak trees all around the house. And the oak trees come from these little acorn seeds, And conventionally we'd say, well, that's an acorn, that's a seed, and that's a tree. But that tree in some way is contained in that seed. And that seed can grow into the immensity of that tree. Right? And it's all, and that tree is interconnected with the land and everything else as I've described. So where is the point where that tree didn't exist? At one point it existed as a seed, but that seed came from a previous oak tree, and that oak tree came from a previous seed, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. So where is the moment where the oak tree comes into being? Or does it actually just transform? Almost kind of like a caterpillar into a butterfly. A seed becomes an immense oak tree. It's nothing short of magic, actually. How does that happen? I mean, our sciences, of course, have been exploring those kind of questions for a long time. And even though we might get scientific answers to that kind of question, it's still extraordinary. Just extraordinary. How did you become from this thing that's so small you couldn't even see it, and here you are, fully grown human being? Will a certain oak tree last forever? No, it will fall over. And we'll call it dead, right? And then that oak tree will, over time, all of its elements will break down, go back into the earth, right? Becoming nutrients for the next oak tree or the next whatever grows. It's the nutrients for the next thing. That next thing is composed of all this, is composed of the oak tree, however, in a manner of speaking, in a very direct manner of speaking. And so all I'm giving you right now is a kind of explanation, which is very limited. I understand that. But when we really look at this is not how the ego sees life, right? This is not our relative view. If we pop into the relative view, then yeah, you're born, In the relative view, like you come out of your mother's womb, you come into this world, we call that birth, you grow up, you have health, you have occasional illnesses, you eventually get sick, and eventually the body dies and they're not here anymore. None of that is contradicted in what the Heart Sutra is saying. The Heart Sutra is just giving the complete picture. It's not saying that the absolute view is the true view and the relative view is just simply wrong. It's not saying that. It's saying reality shows up in these ways.